being a scam. The consequence of that is it's really hurt the GameFi projects out there, and it's been really difficult for the projects to acquire enough funding to continue and acquire the users to be successful in this market. Despite all this, and I think everyone in here still believe in Web3 gaming and are still heavily invested into Web3 gaming. And I think together we'll be able to, push the crypto industry out of the bear market. One of the reasons why I think that is, if you look at the whole blockchain industry as a whole, NFTs, gaming, and entertainment are the driving force behind the overall adoption of crypto. This chart here it represents the North American market, but I think the same story applies to all different other markets in the world. So if you look at it, NFT, gaming, and entertainment put together drive the most number of transactions in blockchain. And what that means is that it's the most accessible gateway for new users to transition into Web3. And as a gaming industry as a whole, I think we're still years away from the industry blossoming and really becoming successful. And one of the reasons is the reality of the game development. So game development is super hard. It's really, really, really difficult. And the same applies to Web2 game as well as the Web3 games. We know this because we've been developing games and publishing games for the past 24 years. So if you look at Google Play Store and Apple App Store, there are thousands and thousands of games listed, with hundreds and thousands of games added every year to that list. But if you look at the share of the game's revenue, 97% of the game revenue is driven by the top 3% of the games out there. What this means is that games that are the most fun to play, that has the most strong gameplay, and that is the most engaging are the games that are succeeding. And all of the rest of the games are not really relevant in the Web2 gaming space. So before I jump into what Exploit is about, for those of you who doesn't know who we are, I'd like to give you a little bit of context. So Come To Us is my parent company. It is one of the largest gaming companies from Korea. It's been around since 1998. We've been developing and publishing games for 24 years. And we've been part of the mobile game evolution, all the way from the Nokia phones to where we are now. And we really blew up into the scene with the emergence of the free-to-play model. And these are some of the games that we currently service. And Summoner's War is one of our largest titles so far. It's done about $3 billion in revenue so far. It still has about 1 million daily active users, and it's been widely popular all over the world. So based on the success of Summoner's War and that of other titles, we've been able to continue to look for or invest into innovation. So we continue to look for the next innovative step in gaming, and obviously for us, the next logical step was Web3. We were amazed and motivated by the success of Axie Infinity last year, so much so that we've actually pivoted the entire company from a Web2 gaming company to Web3. So what that means is that all of the new titles that we'll be launching from Come To Us will be launched on Exploit, our blockchain, as Web3 games. So although gaming is our main line of business, we are equally invested into the entertainment space. We own a total of 40 different companies, 5 of which are publicly listed companies. And a lot of the entertainment companies are focused around producing music, drama, movies, as well as management companies that manage K-pop idols and different artists. So the rise of the creator economy and the demand for higher quality content is what we're seeing in the industry right now. So with the use of blockchain technology, we're able to innovate on how the content creators and the consumers play their roles, they cross over and interact with each other. So our vision is to create a content-focused blockchain created by content creators, focusing on the entertainment vertical. We will be starting with the games because it's the fastest source of Web3 adoption, grassroots Web3 adoption. Next, we'll be expanding our scope into the rest of the entertainment sector. And then we'll be bringing it all together with our metaverse called Come2verse, where we'll be connecting and facilitating the game, the entertainment, and the real-world services. So Expla is a POS blockchain built on Tendermint using Cosmos SDK. We're currently running a testnet for EVM compatibility. We'll be fully integrated with EVM by February next year. And we currently have 40 initial validators that's onboarded to our chain, and we'll be adding more validators as we go along. So we're well on our way to become more and more decentralized. I want to emphasize here that Expla is a permissionless chain. It is accessible by everyone, and it is not Come2us's own chain. Come2us you can view it as another project. They will go through the same onboarding processes as any other project. There's no favoritism here, so it'll be fair for all the projects that will be launched. So our approach to building an ecosystem is this. We want to build an ecosystem that includes not only the large and major projects out there, but also the smaller long-tail projects. We believe that an ecosystem is only rich when we can provide an environment where different levels of projects can get funded and can iterate freely on the chain using the right tools that we have available. And there are a couple different ways for projects to build on us. So one is through strategic partnerships. By using our network and our due diligence expertise, we partner with projects that we think will bring tremendous value to the ecosystem. So recently we signed Exterio, which is the Web3 arm for FunPlus. For those of you who don't know who FunPlus is, they're one of the largest Web2 gaming studios out there who developed the game State of Survival. They'll be building exclusively on our chain. Same with Hypercomic. They are a Webtoon platform that aims to bring fair share to the Webtoon cartoon authors. So the baseline thinking here is we're focusing on building partnerships with companies that have a long track record of success over many years. Our reason for that is because we believe that these companies will be able to create not only the high quality games and content, but they'll be able to sustain and operate the games for a long period of time successfully and sustainably. So the second route is where we embrace the Web3 spirit of long tail. So the best thing about Web3 is that it's designed to provide an infrastructure for autonomous and self-run communities based on incentivization for different parties. So we offer two different Launchpad protocols on Expla. So we have Expla Springboard, which is funded by the community pool. It runs its own internal governance voting system for onboarding new projects onto the chain. beta game launcher is a launch protocol that's a little bit more tailored to game studios who need a little bit more of a support to launch their games on the chain. So the beta game launcher works like this. It's pretty simple. So users buy game fan cards, NFTs, and they use the game fan cards to play and test the games for a period of time. And once at the end of the period, they vote on whether the game stays on the platform or not. Now, come to us with all of its titles. We'll be going through the beta game launcher just like any other game companies and launch their games through the program. So who knows, some of the games might not go through. So some of the key design aspects of Expla that I want to share is that Expla is a community-first blockchain. What I mean by that, we have two separate pools, a reward pool and a community pool that provides revenue streams for the validators and the projects that we have on board. So the marketplace fees, DEX fees, and the transaction fees all feed into the reward pool. And this is a strong mechanism, I think, because it continues to generate value to the chain as the volume of transactions increase. And we use a portion of the treasury fund to stake and delegate to validators so that the network, for network stability and security. The second pool, our community pool, is fed by a portion of the transaction fee. And this is where all of the projects that come onto our chain will be able to get support from. So some of the grants will be coming from the community pool here. Right now, I think the operations of a lot of the layer ones right now is unsustainable in the future because the inflow, the inbound and the outbound balance of the chains are not there. It's very unbalanced, so I don't think it's a sustainable model. So we've tried to design Expla to become a sustainable blockchain. All of the content, all of the dApps will feed into each other, so the blockchain and the dApp will feed into each other where the funds from the Expla mainnet will help develop dApps on the blockchain, and vice versa, the dApps will also return some of the contributions back to the blockchain. This is an overview of the current ecosystem. We are in the middle of a game migration. So we have 5 games that are launched that will require game migration, and we recently launched the 6th game, Dear Ella, which passed through the beta game launcher. And we have our own wallet, we have our own explorer, and all of the dApps. The list of dApps will continue to grow as we go along. The last bit of the design of Expla that I want to share is that it's a very user-centric blockchain. What I mean by that is XATP stands for Expla Alternate Token Protocol, which means that for a group of whitelisted tokens, the users will be able to use those tokens to pay the transaction fees. So you wouldn't need a separate fund of Expla tokens to pay transaction fees. And we're working on dynamic NFTs that's specifically designed for games, game assets, where we'll be including composability or different features for a dynamic NFT, yeah. And as more functions of the games are brought on chain, the smart contracts needs to be modified, and we'll be providing a modularized smart contracts to the providers. Yeah, so that's the overall view of Expla. And I want to just end here. So Emily and myself are here all this week, so if you want to chat with us, just let us know. We'll be around the conference, or you can telegram us whenever you want. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Paul Kim. And guys, now tomorrow is all about creators and gaming in Web3. We also have a special session with Apple, the app of the Black Eyed Peas. So don't miss out on this.
What if your everyday is easier? What if your tasks are faster? What if you never have to chase due dates ever? What if your life is safer? What if your dreams are higher? What if kaya mo na? GCash gives you secure payments, real-time money transfers, accessible financial services, exclusive deals, and a full suite of business solutions para kaya mo na sumabay sa takbo ng buhay. Kaya mo na to stay connected. Kaya mo na magbayad anytime, anywhere. Kaya mo na mag-buy and sell. Kaya mo na to get exclusive deals. Kaya mo na magpera padala. Kaya mo na gawing safe ang future. Kaya mo na abutin ang pangarap. Kaya mo na makatulong, magbigay ng pag-asa. Kaya mo, GCash mo.
music, art, and NFTs. One big celebration. Over 10,000 G-goers. A recap of the best moments. Powered by NFT activated passes. 917 new NFT owners. The biggest NFT launch in the Philippines.
Bis na kita.
Ay, kailan kaya ulit?
Angkas, tara na! Whee! Pabalik pa po ang angkas?
Manalig ka lang, dahil ang angkas ay malakas.
Angkas malakas!
Angkas malakas!
Angkas malakas!
Three, two, one.
Guriseta, Africa, Cauton, and Saavedra has been consistently ranked as a top-tier law firm in the Philippines by various prestigious international organizations such as Asian Legal Business, International Financial Law Review, the Legal 500, Chambers Partners, Asia Business Law Journal, and the Asia Law Profiles. Our firm, Guriseta, Africa, Cauton, and Saavedra, was awarded the Technology, Media, and Telecommunications Law Firm of the Year for 2019, 2020, and 2021, and also the Innovative Technologies Law Firm of the Year for 2019 and 2021 by Asian Legal Business during the Philippine Law Awards. We were also voted as the best fintech law firm in the Philippines for 2019, 2020, and 2021 during the annual awards of UK-based Wealth and Finance International. We were likewise voted as Technology, Media, and Telecommunications Law Firm of the Year for 2019, 2020, and 2021 by Vantage Asia or Asia Business Law Journal.
With pioneering expertise on the law on digital assets, fintech, blockchain, virtual currencies, e-commerce, data privacy, and artificial intelligence, we are legal counsel to the biggest and most impactful technology and online companies in the Philippines. We have been ranked number 1 in the Philippines in the tech or fintech space.
What if your everyday is easier? What if your tasks are faster? What if you never have to chase due dates ever? What if your life is safer? What if your dreams are higher? What if kaya mo na? GCash gives you secure payments, real-time money transfers, accessible financial services, exclusive deals, and a full suite of business solutions para kaya mo na sumabay sa takbo ng buhay. Kaya mo na to stay connected. Kaya mo na magbayad anytime, anywhere. Kaya mo na mag-buy and sell. Kaya mo na to get exclusive deals. Kaya mo na magpera padala. Kaya mo na gawing safe ang future. Kaya mo na abutin ang pangarap. Kaya mo na makatulong, magbigay ng pag-asa. Kaya mo, GCash mo.
Music, art, and NFTs. One big celebration. Over 10,000 G-goers. A recap of the best moments. Powered by NFT activated passes. 917 new NFT owners. The biggest NFT launch in the Philippines.
What if your everyday is easier? What if your tasks are faster? What if you never have to chase due dates ever? What if your life is safer? What if your dreams are higher? What if kaya mo na? GCash gives you secure payments, real-time money transfers, accessible financial services, exclusive deals, and a full suite of business solutions para kaya mo na sumabay sa takbo ng buhay. Kaya mo na to stay connected. Kaya mo na magbayad anytime, anywhere. Kaya mo na mag-buy and sell. Kaya mo na to get exclusive deals. Kaya mo na magpera padala. Kaya mo na gawing safe ang future. Kaya mo na abutin ang pangarap. Kaya mo na makatulong, magbigay ng pag-asa. Kaya mo, GCash mo.
Music, art, and NFTs. One big celebration. Over 10,000 G-goers. A recap of the best moments. Powered by NFT activated passes. 917 new NFT owners. The biggest NFT launch in the Philippines.
bis na kita.
Three, two, one.
Blockchain since like 2018 or something. So yeah, I think I really want to thank Gabby, and could you please give me some applause for him? Though I don't know whether he's here, because I really love this kind of atmosphere like a family, and Gabby is like a lovely daddy. He's taking care of everyone here. So yeah, so I'm so glad to be here, and I want to give you a very short brief of our company. So our team are basically from the traditional game industry, and I think that's why we are here. And my business partner, she's used to be the core member of Ubisoft in Paris and Montreal. participated in the projects like Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia. I don't know, anyone here played these 2 games before? Yeah, okay, thank you so much. Okay, and it sounds like you really enjoy the game, don't you? And after that, we set up our own game studio and issued the game, one of the most popular casual game, the Squeeze Odyssey, and won several global rewards like in the Cologne Game Show, in the Tokyo Game Show, and also ranked #1 on 61 regions and countries. And during the mobile game engine, it's very crazy, just like what is happening now in the crypto. So everybody is so inspired and want to create some new things based on the new devices. But after like 5 years, it's totally different because many of the giants grow up and manipulate all the traffic, and the users got to be so expensive to acquire. So we looked into the crypto. We start to research in this area since 2017 and start to build our first game, Hyper Dragons, on Ethereum. And we launched it around April of 2018. And we are very happy to see that it surpassed CryptoKitties on the same year, around August. And also, we welcomed over 1 million registered users and also over 20K daily active users, which is, very small at this stage today, but it was crazy that day, at that time, because we believe that maybe, all the real users, they are on the game already. So, yeah, we are really inspired by all these experiments, and also we start to discover some other area like the Hyper Snakes, which is an IO game. It's a more casual gameplay, and also the Le Cube and help other these games like Crypto Throne, EOS Knights to get cross-chain or get cross-boarded published. So yeah, I think it's been very interesting journey so far because I think people have already done a lot of experiments, especially in GameFi. So actually, we brought up this concept in 2019. We are literally the first one who talk about GameFi. Because at that time, there are a lot of arguments like today. The users are complaining about the boring gameplays and also the short life cycles. There are so many bets or gambling games on EOS as well. So we start to think that we don't really think that this type of games is the only way to use blockchain or to apply blockchain into the game. So this kind of experiments, we would rather to call them the financialized gamification service. So that's how the GameFi, this word, come from. But I'm so happy that people can accept this concept so far happily and widely spread. So after that, we start to think about what exactly the blockchain can contribute to the game industry. So that is why we brought up the new concept about Web3 games. So we think the next trend is absolutely belongs to the game. I don't know, anyone here agree with this? Because I think the reason why we people gather here is because we have this belief that the game will lead the next trend. And according to so many numbers, here is, because we do investment as well, so we do much research about the potential of this track. So you can see that the game generally in the world has already been surpassed 300 billion US dollars of all the profit. If you included everything, that will be over $1 trillion. And the Web3 games will absolutely lead a new trend here. And also, there are so many valuable things the blockchain can contribute to the game. I don't know, what's your thinking about the Web3 games or blockchain games so far? What's your thinking? That it's all about tokenomics? It's maybe related with the NFT issuing to replace the equipment issued by the centralized service. And maybe it's related with the seamless trading. Because, in the days before anyone trade in the game, you need to use a third-party platform, and you need to hand over your account and your password to the clients. And maybe if it's very valuable, the clients, the service person will disappear in the world because it's already, earning enough than the salary he is earning. So there are so many scams before if you trade with a third-party platform. And actually, we think that could be more. What we are trying to apply the blockchain to the games, including the new tokenomics, including to let the users to have their own true ownership, and third-party and NFT trading platform, and also to fund all these small studios to be a faster way, and also help them to build a community during the NFT pre-sale, and also the co-creation and co-benefiting system within the game. So we truly believe that it will happen in the maybe next 3 to 5 years, that the Web3 games will scale the existing game industry like 10 times or even 100 times bigger, because that's what happened during the previous several trends already. Like on the web, on the PC, to the mobile, always there will be 10 times scaling of the whole market. Okay. Seems a little bit lag here. Okay, so why we think, sorry, I need the previous one. Okay, so why we believe that this trend will truly happen, because the observation from 2017 to now, actually during the last quarter, 92% of all these funding events are happening in the game field, in Web3 especially. So we think that totally makes a lot of sense, because this area is getting fully mature. It's maturing, I would say. Because, back to 2017, there are not so many professional game teams in the field. Most of them used to do finance or maybe mining or programming. So I think maybe that's why they can only come up with all these kind of GameFi applications, because that's what they are more familiar with, the financial service. So, but now we can see that so many professional studios and also big factories, they are entering into this field, especially because we are strategically cooperating with some Korean giants like we made. So we have already observing all these giants, they have already announced officially to enter into Web3. But in China, people are really curious about the field and they want to participate, but because of the limitation of the regulation, just some underwater observations right now, and some studio managers who quit the job, or they are letting the team to do a side work about Web3. But absolutely, people are really interested in it. So this big change will bring this field much more higher quality of the content. So I think we are just lucky people, because in 2017 that's too early. That's people still doing experiments, and the blockchain infrastructure is not sufficient enough to support this large scale of applications. And during the previous wave, the BAO has already told us how powerful the GameFi could be, and also the limitations of it. Like if it's the gameplay is too shallow, or if you only target this profit-oriented users, that could be easily become a Ponzi. People have fully realized about that. So I actually believe that in the next wave, there will be much more higher quality games like MMO, like SLG. They can provide the really interesting gameplays to the users, and also create a new form of business model in the games. And also, all together with the guilds, because the guild is actually another interesting topic, because in the Web2 guilds, people are more talking about the esports team, or talking about like in the Mirror 2, the private servers, they are more talking about the guilds who are hire people to play with him together to be more interesting. So now in the Web3, guilds are totally different. So I'm very happy to have all these conversations with Gabby, with Peter in the blockchain space to talk about what kind of role the guilds will play in the Web3 and also in the future, in the broader sense of the Web3 games. So I believe that the guild will take more roles like marketing, like esports team, promotion, and also to become the community to give feedbacks to the studios so that they can know what the users really like. So yeah, just want to say that I know that maybe a lot of you guys agree that the game is really promising here, but we have really done some work to prove that what you're thinking is really true. And this is basically our metrics are like what kind of area we are looking into. So actually, we are not only looking into the contents, the studios, also in the entertainment field. I think NFT is another interesting topic, especially in creating a new brand in terms of the IP, the new ways to commercialize, to monetize the IP. And also all this innovative tech around with all together with the game, and also the publishing platforms. Because in the previous wave of game, that's the same. The best quality or the earliest game will be easily become IP like Mirror 2, and the World of the Craft, and also the earliest video games like the Pokemon Go. They also make a great IP. And also the publishing platform like Steam, they did a great job in the publishing. So we also think that will be mostly following the same trend. The methodology is similar with the financial area actually, because we all know that the 4 pillars of the finance are the bank, the insurance, the trust, and the stock. I think in the game industry that's the same. We find these 4 pillars. And but that will be absolutely different things happen in this area. But we are very happy to see many inspired, innovative projects right now. So yeah, that's just basically our methodology. I will skip this slide because it's some else of other cases. When we got more cases, I will be more than happy to share with you guys. Okay, so. Yeah, so I don't know how many of you guys have ever been talking to investors or incubators. I think there is a huge trend for investors to be multifunction. This multifunction means they can not only support the financial support. So people only with money, I don't know how much value you see them, but I absolutely think that the investors in the future, not only in Web 2, but also in Web 3, but also in Web 2, they need to take more responsibility, both for the portfolios for the LPs and also for the industry. So for Mixed Marvel, because we used to be the developers, so we absolutely want to work with more our portfolios and also with the industry, with a big family. So what we offer is not only the financial support, absolutely. So including the incubation, basically that's the know-how and all the consulting around the portfolio, and also the Rangers protocol, because we have already suffering for like 3 years or 4 from the limitation of the underlying technology. It's not saying that Ethereum is not good. It's just not vertically designed for the large-scale games applications. We need more layers, like layer 2, layer 3 even. That could be the data layer, could be the computation layer, could be the storage layer. So if you are a developer from the studio, because that's what we suffered before, you need to understand each of the layer, what are they doing, and also which chain you should choose. Solana or Ethereum, which chain you need to issue your NFT, by the way, and what kind of assets you need to put on different chains. How can you cross chains? I don't think all the studio developers, they are happy to accept all these details. So that's basically Rangers doing. They are unifying all this technology and also offer the tool chain to onboard both the developers and also the users for the Web2. Okay, it's more like a promoting our service, but I would say that's what we've been doing like 3 years, because we really understand what the developers are facing. So we work together with them in a lot of details that they may face. And also because we used to do game before, so we understand what kind of, we understand their language. So, and we enjoy working together with all these talents. So I don't know how much time I left. 5 minutes? 5, okay, thank you so much. So yeah, just a very small showcase about here, because I've been talking about the high quality game and also which can, and also the showcase, sorry, to illustrate what kind of game is most suitable for the blockchain. So here, MetaSan, actually, they are launching their NFT, and the community can get the early rewards or airdrops when they firstly enter into the community. And we will have more rewards after this. They will do the closed beta in the end of this year, and the open alpha, closed alpha in the end of this year, and open beta the next summer. And what I really like about the team is the founder is extremely experienced in the area. I don't know how many of you would love MMO, because it's a little bit far away from our memory. It's like there are 3 most profitable MMO in the game in the world, including the World of Warcraft, the Western Journey by NetEase, and the Mirror 2 by WeMade. So the founder is the publisher, which is Shenda Network in China, and they are the most successful publisher in China as well. They got 2 listed company already in NASDAQ. So the founder was the co-founder of Shenda Network. So he has observed the MMORPG, the whole industry, for more than 20 years. And the Mirror 2 has generated around 15 billion US dollars already, and each year is keeping profiting. So they absolutely no game and no publishing. So yeah, here I just want to share a very short glance about the game to see what kind of feedback you guys can give us. Okay, I guess that's just the end of my speech, and I really really enjoying giving speech here, and we are looking forward to talking to you guys more. If you are investors, you are developers, you are community, please come to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that insightful presentation, Mary Ma. While many of us are looking for what is next in Web3, Kat Gonzalez of YGG Filipinas takes a moment to speak to some of the funds that have backed Web3 from its earliest days. Kat is joined by Wei Lum Lee of Mentha Partners, James Park of Brink, Augustus Ilag of Sequoia Capital, and Mia Deng of Dragonfly Capital.
All right. So, hi everyone. So today we're talking about investing in Web3 since day one. And maybe we can start with a look back at the initial days of your journey, right? What gave you such a high conviction to invest in this space? What interested you? And what was the community like back then? Augie, do you want to start?
Yeah, no, happy to. First of all, thanks so much for having me. My name is Augie. I'm an investor with Sequoia Capital. I'm based in our Singapore office, and I broadly cover crypto and Web3 investing across the Southeast Asia region. So to answer your question, I think we've been investing in the space, at least in the region, for the better part of 4 to 5 years, but really only with emphasis in the last 2. And I would say what's given us a lot of conviction over this time is, frankly, the early product market fit that we're starting to see across a variety of different use cases, but especially in emerging markets, right? I think whether it's DeFi, payments, especially cross-border payments, as well as upskilling and working across various metaversal roles. Gaming is a great example there. It's really emerging markets, and I mean both Southeast Asia, but also potentially other areas like Africa and LATAM, where we see really strong feedback from consumers and from institutionals. And so I think that's what initially got us excited and initially led us down the rabbit hole to where now we cover all categories of crypto across the world.
Cool. James, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Kat. So hi, guys. I'm James. I'm from Brink. We're a global venture accelerator based out of Hong Kong, which is where I sit. I haven't been with Brink very long, and so I don't know how much we can speak about that. But what really Brink invests in is what we call game changers. We invest or we look and work with founders who are leveraging emerging technologies such as distributed ledger technology and the blockchain to really sort of make a change in the world for the good. We have a very strong sustainability angle, and so we are very interested in working with founders who are looking to bring positive change throughout the world. And the blockchain is and blockchain technology is very interesting for us given sort of the advancements that we're making, especially with the open metaverse community that Animoca Brands is pushing, and so that's something that's really interesting for us, and so we're working closely with Animoca as well as the Sandbox to source and find interesting founders who are building game-changing products, and hopefully we'll be able to nurture and guide them through their journey.
Great. Weilo?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Wei Lum Lee. I'm a co-founder at Mentha Partners. We're an early-stage crypto VC based out of Hong Kong. We have offices also in New York, Hong Kong, and Singapore. And we have a traditional finance background. We actually started in private equity and invested a lot in the Philippines. And so we actually have a very strong affinity with the Philippine community. And we actually have a very strong investment mandate where we're very bullish on the Philippines in general, because you have a very highly educated population. You have a mobile-based community, which we think is actually very conducive for Web3 development in general. And so we're very excited to, have been very early investors in YGG and all the ecosystem projects relating to that group. And we've also provided advisory to that group as well. And so we're looking to really expand our presence in emerging markets. So we also focus on Latin America as well. And we're looking at projects not only in the Philippines, but Southeast Asia, also in Africa as well, where we feel that the legacy banking systems, the legacy inefficient systems of remittances, and also the domestic consumption is a very, I would say, compelling investment thesis for us.
Great. So just to touch on that, since we are in the Philippines, this is the first Philippine Web3 Festival. What have you seen change in the previous years, right, in terms of the startups coming out of the Philippines? What excites you about what's happening here?
I would say that the Web3 space, especially gaming, has developed quite dramatically. And I think, you know, with Axie Infinity, that was quite a big revelation that you could have a play-to-earn type of ecosystem. But I think it's also important to realize that this space will evolve dramatically. And, you know, with the play-to-earn model, I think that needs some revision. And we also need higher quality games as well, with better gameplay and better incentives for players to generate loyalty and, you know, retain the correct types of gamers that we want. So I see it's very important to really invest in the right type of development teams, because the actual development process will evolve over time. And many of these founding partners will have to evolve and pivot their business models over time. And they can only do that if, number one, they are very financially responsible with the project treasury, and they are also highly competent in terms of development team, so that they have the ability to remain agile and to be responsive to like consumer needs and player needs.
Yeah, maybe I could add to that. I also agree that I think gaming in the Philippine context is a big opportunity. I would say we are also very bullish on DeFi and payments-related use cases, where, I mean, obviously the Philippines is one of the biggest markets for remittance flows, inward remittance flows. But I think also, to the point that was made earlier, it's very clear in markets such as this one that crypto, especially with the infrastructure that's been built, can offer a 10x better experience versus the alternative, which I think to contrast that with, let's say, the US, you really have to squint and like to convince yourself that, hey, like decentralized financial services is better than, I don't know, the 5 credit cards I already have or the 10 bank accounts I already have. But in other markets where the alternative is exclusion from the financial system altogether for 50, 60, 70% of the population, then yes, you know, maybe financial services directly from my MetaMask or Ronin wallet makes sense. Then yes, maybe you know, use remittance using the Lightning Network on top of Bitcoin is much better than Swift if that's my alternative. So that's sort of the framing that we try to apply. Does this create a 10x better experience? And that's all relative, and I think very market to market dependent, but it's starting to show green shoots, especially in markets such as this one, in my opinion.
I think I have to agree with both Augie and Y here. I think what really is interesting in the Philippines, and I guess to make a contrast to Hong Kong, which is where we live, so Hong Kong, we've been global players in the finance industry for Web 1 and Web 2, and that sort of led to an interesting phenomenon where we're so dependent on existing models that we can't think of breaking our barriers. And so to be able to come here and see everyone being able to use Gcash or electronic forms of payment, we do have forms of payment like that in Hong Kong, but no one uses it. And it's really that drive and willingness to adopt new technologies, which is really interesting for me in the Philippines here. And then I think I read a report from one of the large VC groups here that I think 60% of investments were going into fintech, and then 30% of VC investments were going into entertainment. And obviously this was really sort of bolstered by the investments that Breeder DAO is getting over the last couple of months. And so that I think, especially in the Web3 scene, given the proximity of projects that are building on top of Web3 infrastructure in these sectors of fintech and entertainment, I think it's really a promising ecosystem.
Yeah, I just want to touch on something you said, how likely a lot of the Filipinos actually have like a Ronin wallet first or a MetaMask wallet before they even have a bank account or even an e-wallet, right? Is this also what you're seeing, and are you dedicating more funds towards this space to bridge that like kind of financial inclusion gap, kind of skipping the traditional finance environment, going straight into crypto and DeFi?
Yeah, I can go first, and I'd actually love to hear the opinion from the fellow panelists. But for sure, I think we're kind of approaching this from, excuse me, both lenses. Like, I think in emerging markets, it is clear that there is pent-up demand for these types of services, as we've been discussing, because the alternative is much worse now. But I think also in more developed markets, I think helping institutional players get access to DeFi, let's say hedge funds, et cetera, that want to access this space, that's a very different angle to the same sort of problem that requires a very different sort of product definition, right? I think so. We've been trying to kind of play both sides, if that makes sense. I think there are consumer-facing products that make more sense in emerging markets, and we're seeing a lot of similarities across, let's say, Southeast Asia and Latin America, for example. But also some differences, right? I think what's been interesting for me when we were visiting Latin America for DevCon a couple months back was the prevalence of a couple different models, which I hadn't yet seen as common in Southeast Asia. One is just sort of crypto neobanks that were especially pushing USD-denominated stablecoins as an inflation hedge. As many of you may know, like inflation, runaway inflation. I'm not talking 5-6% in the US that they're freaking out about, but 60% per annum that you see in Argentina. Like, that's why they want to, like, their flight to safety for USD-denominated stablecoins. I think that's a very interesting, fairly straightforward use case that could be applied here. But two was more on the DID side. I think they've made really strong strides in Latin America, mostly government-backed, trying to get everyone to adopt a form of DID, especially in places like Brazil and Mexico. And I think that's another interesting topical area that we could potentially bring to our markets as well.
Yeah, I think speaking about the Philippines, what I like about this particular country is the willingness to adopt and integrate blockchain into everyday life. And what we see in some of the projects that we invested in, such as Metaverse Go, they have some very good partnerships with Globe Telecom. This is actually true utility, right? It's actually improving people's lives. It's reducing the amount of friction, to onboard someone and then to actually benefit from the platform. So other projects that we've invested in include XLD Finance. So once again, they are providing real utility to make things easier for payments, right? And I think ultimately, crypto is evolving from, being very cynical, a pump and dump type of environment to being one where the real utility is starting to show. And it does take a long time to actually build this infrastructure and to educate people. But I actually find in this country, because many people are very well educated, speak very good English, and are very capable in terms of technology, that there's a very big willingness to embrace, this utility. And so we're very, very bullish on this area, and we are looking to deploy more capital here. Yeah.
I think, again, just to agree with everything these two have said, I don't know if you in the audience know this fact, but approximately 1 in 5 Ethereum developers learn Solidity as their first language. And if you look at sort of the proportion of Solidity developers spread across the world, Vietnam, Philippines, Eastern Europe, South America, it's really the countries that we consider sort of less, or I guess less financial inclusion across the board. And I think really it's that drive of bringing good back to the population that's really sort of motivating a lot of founders and builders in these countries to keep building, especially in areas of fintech, again, entertainment, the play and earn phenomenon. I'm actually not surprised that it exploded in Southeast Asia and the Philippines. It really was meant to be I guess, true sort of stepping stone into financial inclusion. And really, I think, despite knowing that a lot of people have been negatively affected by Axie, it really did help sort of accelerate that growth and adoption of Web3 here. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Great, yeah. So speaking of play and earn, play to earn, GameFi, was there anything at all that caught you guys by surprise? I know you said you're not surprised, but maybe Augie or why is there anything that surprised you? Is it the rate of adoption, the startups that are coming out, anything interesting that you're seeing right now in the space?
I think initially for us, we were very surprised that the number of crypto wallets actually exceeded the number of bank accounts in the Philippines. And to us, this really showed that this is almost a parallel banking system. I don't want to say shadow banking system, but it's a parallel banking system for the younger generation. And I think that needs to be recognized, because once you have that crypto wallet and you can build infrastructure around that, it becomes extremely efficient to deploy services and products to this audience, right? And that goes well beyond the legacy systems, right, which are slow, and there's a lot of KYC, which I think a lot of the population may not even be able to pass, and that's a huge disservice, right, to the vast majority of people here. And so that, in terms of improving people's lives, is phenomenal, right? And that's something that took us by surprise in terms of the speed of adoption, but less so about, the direction.
No, I think very quickly, I agree with what was said. I think one thing that's important before I make the comment I want to make is there are also very gaming specific reasons that crypto should be enabled. Like it, I think, brings a lot of sort of the gray that used to be there in terms of gold farming, et cetera, into the limelight and sort of legitimizes it. And there's also a lot of ways that crypto can make actually gaming a net better experience for users. But I think that aside, to the point that was just previously made, I was surprised by what an effective sort of Trojan horse gaming ended up being in terms of helping users onboard into crypto more broadly. And it kind of started this whole movement of then X to earn, we are seed investors in StepN, and other mainstream consumer use cases that are trying to serve that same purpose, which is, let me start with a format that you are very accustomed with, maybe obfuscate most of the crypto part, but then slowly but surely get you accustomed and into this world in sort of a Trojan horse sort of manner. And I think that's another very interesting area that we spend a lot of time thinking about.
Great, awesome. So thank you, Mia, for joining us. Just in time for this question. So I think we need to kind of address the elephant in the room, right? So with the recent developments over the past week, how has that kind of changed, if at all, your approach, right, to investing? And are there certain things that you're looking out for or keeping a close eye on right now? Maybe Mia, do you wanna start?
Awesome. Hey guys, sorry for running late. Just got on the flight. Past week has been a pretty shocking event for entire industry. We've been investing in centralized finance for 4 years. So actually, before Dragonfly, I was at Amber Group, which is also a CeFi platform. So I think the past weeks really is giving us a lot of thought about why we're in this industry in the beginning, right? I think in 2017 I was drawn into it for the premise of trustless mass-scale human coordination and how you can use blockchain to achieve that. But I think it's just sort of ugly adolescent phase of the growth of the emerging tech industry, where we've seen that power shifts is actually we need these trusted on-ramps to welcome people like mainstream consumer in this space, but at the same time it has the flip side of being used for advantages or things like the credit crunch. And so I think what we're seeing now is there has to be a push towards a more transparent and industry, whether it's coming from a centralized or decentralized side. But we foresee this contagion or the aftermath keep going for at least a couple of months, and once the dust settle, you kind of have to let all the best stuff get purged out first before you can see, new things get grow.
Yeah, so this is obviously a difficult topic to discuss. So I guess I would sort of try and beat around the bush with it. I do think it's sort of what's happened over the last week has exposed some of, I guess, the weaknesses that we're seeing in the Web3 space, especially as you just mentioned about transparency. I think slowly we will move into or governments will look into a lot of, I guess, having the right checks and balances there. So founders are responsibly running their companies and not mismanaging investor funds. I think that's a really key point, I guess, for everyone here on the stage as well, that we also want to be ensured that founders aren't going off sort of running parties and flying first class all over the world all the time. And I think we're slowly moving into an understanding. Every time there's an incident that happens, I guess it's not always as big as this, but we've had bigger issues in the past, like BitConnect, Mt. Gox, so, and other sort of issues that we see come around every, say, 1 to 2 years. I actually think it's helped strengthen the community much stronger, actually. And I'm of the belief that builders are still going to be building, especially those who have conviction in what they're building. And I think I've seen that in a lot of founders and builders here in the Philippines over the last couple of days. So I'm still very excited about the space. I think, I still have a lot of optimism for the space.
Amazing. So I think that segues well to my next question, and probably the last for this afternoon, which is, despite everything that's happening, the market conditions, FUD, all these things that are going on, what keeps you bullish in Web3? Maybe Augie, we can start with you.
Yeah, I'll share one small tidbit. I mean, I think one leading indicator that gives me still a lot of hope is, and this is true globally when I speak to my colleagues across different markets, China, US, etc. It is still very much true that, let's say, 20, 30, 40% of the smartest young kids coming out of top universities globally are still choosing today to build in the space. And I think for nothing else, that is a very powerful leading indicator for the mid to long term. And so that gives me confidence.
Yeah, I think for us, not much has changed in terms of the investment thesis. I would say for us, when we look at a project, we're looking at community, we're looking at the product that's being developed, and we're also looking at the monetization. So even though, with the whole FTX saga, a lot of liquidity has been drained from the system, if you look around here and, all the people who are attending, meeting a lot of project founders, they continue to build. And what we've seen is that in the Philippines, a lot of the projects, I would say the runway is very long. They can support the project for 3 years or longer. And, the cost base is generally quite low. I'm quite happy to say that some of the early founders that we met, like YGG, Gabby, he maintains a lifestyle which is pretty much the same as, when he was poorer, and now he's doing better. But, there isn't that huge lifestyle creep that we saw at FTX, right? And that to us is very important. So when we actually look at projects, we actually look at the founders and the founding team, and we try to understand, what type of lifestyle they live, what are their values, what is important to them. And I think that hasn't really changed. Yeah. And that keeps us very bullish about the Web3 space.
Mia, do you want to say something?
Sure. So I've been increasingly, I think, since starting last year, we saw the beginning of, a lot of the arts and, culture things started blowing up, and also obviously GameFi. I think my personally very interested in the intersection of quote unquote humanities and Web3, and think that has the potential to kind of separate itself from the hyper financialized crypto Twitter, sometimes a little even toxic, I would say. But I think those types of content and cultural things whether it's gaming or arts and whatnot, has ability to create these mini economies and mini communities. So, I think, just by walking through the exhibition hall there, I was like, blown away by the amount of building energy that's out there, and it's, very different than what when I first, joined the space in 2017. So, I think, if you're building in that section, do not get, scared about what's happening in the space. I think whatsoever is more about how you can use the the Web3 Lego to create a meaningful interactive community and so on.
So for me, what sort of keeps me bullish, again, I'm a technology nerd, so it's really sort of the developers that are working around the clock around the world to make the network much better. If you think about it, Ethereum first started with the ERC20 tokens and then slowly expanded into the 721s, which we know is the NFT. But since then, we also have a lot more NFT standards, like we have the 1155, the SBTs that are slowly starting to show up these days. And more recently also the ERC 998 standard, which lets NFTs hold other NFTs as well. And really it's the improvements of the network and the infrastructure, and also slowly, it's something we talked about, but the UI, UX, there's a lot less friction as compared to 4 or 5 years ago when MetaMask wasn't around. It was sort of nearly impossible for the average person to be able to understand how to buy and sell sort of Ethereum. Or even Bitcoin for that matter. So I think it's those small advancements that we're seeing every day that keeps me bullish and excited about seeing what is the next innovative product that'll come to the market.
Amazing. Thank you, Mia, Wilo, James, Augie. I know we'll see some of you at our investor matching side event later, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Kat Gonzalez, Waylon Lee, James Park, Augustus Ilag, and Mia Dang. As we look to the future and the potential of Web3, as we look to the future and the potential of Web3, we need to onboard millions of new users. Let's learn the role that education has to play in onboarding those users. We have brought together leaders of the industry tackling the challenge of onboarding and educating in different ways. We have Sheila Marcelo of MetaCrafters, Kevin Huang of Acad Arena, Nico Del Pino of Ola GG, and Jack Lim of Naz Company. The discussion will be led by Celeste Rodriguez of YGG Pilipinas.
All right, Philippine Web3 Festival. Welcome to day 2. I hope you're having a good time. There's a few people in here who came in to the Philippines for the first time. Welcome to the Philippines. I think we have taken center stage in the world of gaming, and Axie, for example, has become one of the fastest way for people to develop and enter the crypto world. We have onboarded a lot of people, but right now we're trying to be interested in what will it take to onboard the next million. In my panel are amazing people, and I'm going to give them their time to introduce themselves. So, Nico?
Thank you. Well, great to be here. Thanks for having us. I'm Nico Del Pino, originally from Argentina, born and raised in Argentina. I got into crypto early on, primarily driven by the reality of the local economy in Argentina, and that allowed me an exit strategy through crypto. And for the last couple of years, I've been operating full-time in DeFi, so using in my opinion, what's the best financial industry in the world out there. And I also run the Ola GG, we're the sub-DAO of YGG for Latin America and the Hispanic markets. And I believe through those rails and through gaming, we're envisioning the mass adoption of crypto.
Amazing. So Nico here is in the center of both DeFi and GameFi, Ola GG and Liquid Meta. Now next is someone I really look up to. Her name is Sheila Marcelo.
Thanks, Celeste. Hi, everyone. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I can say I'm born and raised and I'm very proud Filipina. Happy to be here in the Philippines. Yes, super excited. So founded a company called Proof of Learn. In fact, it was with co-Filipinos, Gabby Dizon and Nix Noleto, in November of last year, where we brainstormed a concept called Learn and Earn. I was a venture partner at a private equity firm, which I still am, called NEA. And at that meeting, Gabby turned to me and said, Sheila, who's going to run this really great idea, Learn and Earn, that we ended up calling Proof of Learn? I said, I think I'm going to come out of sabbatical and retirement because I think this is such a big idea to help the world. Nico and I were just discussing this prior to this meeting on how it can really help developed countries and advance people through a Learn and Earn program. And so our very first project, Gabby and Nix introduced me to Kevin Yang, my co-founder. You probably are familiar with his last name because his family owns McDonald's, and he should really be running McDo. But he is actually spending time as an incredible co-founder, computer science from Stanford and masters in AI. And we've co-founded this company to train the next million Web 2 devs into Web 3. So super excited to be here. And our goal is to really a go-to-market in the Philippines this morning. We announced our first college that we are launching with, that iPeople owns, called the National Teachers College. And we spoke to 400 students this morning. So super excited to be back in the Philippines to really advance Learn and Earn. Thank you.
Amazing. I was actually at the launch of MetaCraft. This was the best evenings of my life. And we're talking about learning. In our panel is Jack Lim from Naz Academy or Naz Company.
Hi, Celeste. Nice to see you again. And Sheila, that was an amazing launch. I also went to the MetaCrafters launch. Hi, everyone. I'm Jack. I'm currently leading the Philippines business of Naz Company. So if you're wondering what does Naz Company do and what am I doing here, I've always been passionate about educating people, about giving individuals access to education. And Web3 is something that really needs that, right? Because Web3 as a principle allows people to own a piece of the internet, right? And while we are not a Web3 company, we are not a Web2 company, we are a community learning company, we are here to help onboard millions of people into the space. We started our journey just last year when we created our first ever video on crypto with Nas Daily, with MetaCoven. We did this fellowship called the Metaverse Fellowship, where we took 100 content creators who were interested in crypto, and we were teaching these people how to spread the gospel through content, you know. Metaverse was very generous by giving these people, Celeste, would you believe it, 1 ETH per month for 6 months for all these creators just to make content about crypto. And then the rest was history. We came across multiple creators. Some of them are from YGG, so Celeste is part of our Metaversity program. Kuku has onboarded thousands of people into Web3, not just through his own content, but also through his class on NAS Academy before, how to become an Axie Infinity trainer. So we want to continue to do this. That's why we've partnered with multiple people, and one of them is YGG with Web3 Metaversity, where we are looking at building the Web3 university for careers of the future, which ties in very closely what Sheila's doing, right? Which is more on developers. For us, we're looking at more, you know, NFT artists, you know, traders, marketers. You can't be a marketer for a crypto company without understanding the basic principles, the fundamentals, and what's happening around it. So yeah, now we're building communities here and there, and we look at all of you to help us onboard the next million into Web3.
Thank you. Amazing introduction, Jack. Last but not the least, since we're talking about communities, you're about to meet Kevin Huang, who is super interested in communities of gamers, more specifically for the next generation or the college students. Kevin?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Kevin. Been in gaming and esports for about 8 years now. I was part of Microsoft Education, and then I helped launch the education department at Twitch, the live streaming platform. So I had a really cool job where I got to fly around the world, and I was setting up esports schools at schools like University of California, Irvine, UCLA, and all around the world. And so I left last year to start Katarina to really bring students together around somewhere they spend a lot of time on already, which is gaming, and they're already in school. So we bring organized play to high schools and universities. We built a network of over 1,000 universities in the last year. And so everyone here, is really excited to be here and share a little bit about our world and what we're up to.
All right, thank you. Now, I'm super excited to ask my question. My first question is this. In any kind of adoption, you would see that it all starts with a community. You know, it all starts with a small group of people that keeps getting larger. And now that we've come to this point, what do you think is the future of guilds, Nico?
What's the future of guilds? That's a good one. So I think guilds this year for guilds, it's been an evolution, right? The scholarship model is pretty much how we started the year, onboarding the community into crypto by providing an NFT. And a lot happened this year, right? Not only on prices, but on platforms, and here we are. And I think guilds, in my opinion, are the platform that will support the community that's participating in Web3. Gaming makes a lot of sense to be the first wave of massive adoption, basically because playing games is fun, so it doesn't feel like a job. But in the end, you're participating of this new digital economy, let's call it the Web3 economy. And through games directly or through a gamification experience, you're participating through it, and it's fun. And you're all of a sudden owning tokens, and the tokens are tradable, so they have some secondary value, right? So you can make an earnings out of it, right? So I think guilds, the model is one that will evolve in order to support that community and see what the community needs. As Sheila was mentioning, we're pretty much heavily on gaming right now, but we know that education is a big part of our mission and what we need to do in order to support what the community needs in the long run in order to be sustainable and to have a pleasant experience in Web3. So I think the Guild is basically that platform that provides the community with the tools and resources that they need in order to thrive in this environment.
Absolutely fantastic. I like the fact when you said that in games, it feels fun. It doesn't feel like a job. And Sheila here has worked so hard on the fact that making learning fun with MetaCrafters.
Yeah, so maybe just to add on the question on guilds and also what we're trying to do, one of the things that guilds I think stands for, and it's been tested through time, that there's sort of an apprentice model around guilds, that it's about support, it's about community, and it's about attracting a diverse group of people to help them along. You have beginners, you have intermediate, and you have advanced. That's the whole definition of a guild, is to really support each other through very traditional guilds. And I'm pleased to have seen that it's applied through gaming, and as Nico said, there's a nice onboarding to something difficult, because if you can kind of do it through games and something fun, it feels tangible for people. But I've heard Gabby say sort of like the future of what he saw, and what really inspired me to come into this is the future of where the virtual world is going, around the future of work, that yes, gaming is fun, and there's a sense of a way to onboard with ease. And so it kind of makes sense that the next phase, I think, of a wave of where guilds can really play an important role is in education and to advance, because it's onboarding into games, and it's now how do you use gamification to actually make learning interesting now that you're talking to guilds, and we're talking in partnership with guilds. YGG was our first partner. And then also moving to not only learning for fun, but also learning to land a job. So what we say at MetaCrafters is that, you learn and earn, and you land Web3 jobs. Because at the end of the day, you also want to make sure that there's a pay it forward and there's overall outcomes in general. Now, I know guilds aren't necessarily, I know Kevin and I, he's a good friend of mine, I'm also an advisor to Katarina, aren't always necessarily scalable for all kinds of concepts, but guilds is certainly one way to kind of build communities.
Yeah, I would say, I think at the end of the day, guilds are digital, like people that come together over the internet. And I think that's really special to see that evolve even further. I think when I was at Twitch, I got to see millions of creators just putting themselves out there on the internet and creating their own corner of the internet for themselves and the communities that they are involved with. And I think there's really amazing ways around extending value back to the communities, like working with creators, working with all these different digital ecosystems. For us, like we're thinking that because you spend so much time at school, and most of gaming is anonymous, and so what if we bring people IRL in real life together, and somewhere you spend like 20 plus years of your life in school, and we know that everyone plays like League of Legends and Valorant and whatever titles that you guys all play, and that makes it, you use gaming as like that universal language that brings people together, similar to sports. And so whatever the game content will be, people will come together if the game depends on how well the game resonates. And so that's what I'm really looking forward to, is like extending our culture and bridging that culture between the physical and the digital. And I feel like schools are falling behind in the last like 30 years in tracking what their kids are doing online. Like they have no knowledge outside of an email address. I don't use my alumni email. Like they still spam me every week for like donations, right? And there's not really much engagement after you graduate. And so I feel like all this energy, all this talent coming into this space is really exciting to start connecting the dots together.
Thank you. And for Jack, what is NAS company doing right now to help out with this kind of new kind of educating people in a fun way?
Yeah, I think gaming is one way of making things fun, right? That's why when we did our first ever crypto class in the academy, we decided to start with Axie Infinity, right? Because it is something that people understand. It is something that resonates with people. But on top of playing games, what I've realized is that when people learn, they love the output, they love what they're able to do, but they are in love with the community, right? Because these are people who understand what they're going through, understand their challenges, understand that here is my objective, therefore we can work together. And we've been seeing that in NAS Company. We have alumni starting companies together. We have people building their first NFT project with their classmates. At Metaversity, we have students who were volunteering for the live sessions, right? I remember, Celeste, there was one session where we were commenting on crypto news together with one of the students because he was like, I want to raise my hand. I want to comment on the latest news on crypto with my instructors, right? So I like what he said to me when he volunteered. It's like, Metaversity is a space where we feel safe. It's a space where we build community. So why not make it our home and build it together? So that to me is amazing. We didn't ask him to do that. And communities, education, this sense of belongingness makes people adopt faster. So yeah.
I think I really love the idea of sense of belongingness because crypto by itself can be a very intimidating concept when you think about it and you try to go at it alone. Can I do a quick survey with the crowd? Is that fine? How many here are into crypto? Expect everyone to be. Okay. How many are women? How many are runners? Like athletes? Good. How many are writers? So why do you think, like, all the other communities you belong to don't go to crypto yet? Why are there so many Web 2 people not into Web 3? What do you think is the barrier, Nico, for people from Web 2 to go into Web 3?
Yeah. I think awareness and education is a big component. We operate in Latin America, and the realities across the different markets, countries is quite different. The adoption that Axie Infinity had in places like Venezuela and Argentina was quite organic and pretty much popular, let's say. And there are other markets like Mexico, for example, with demographics that are very comparable, where it didn't really take off in the same way, right? And I think it's because of awareness, of our understanding what's going on. I mean, Web3 is happening so fast, like so quickly. Even the play-to-earn space, the reality today is so different from what it was just a year ago. So it's very hard to catch up, and it's quite intimidating, right, to participate. Maybe that's where the guilds also play a role, making things fun and easy. For the most part, before gaming, let's say the adoption of crypto, in my opinion, was quite restrictive initially. Let's say exchanges drove the first wave of adoption. And for you to participate in an exchange or to be able to buy crypto, first you have to be wealthy enough to transfer like an extra funds into an exchange and try to invest in a very volatile asset. So that's very limited for most of the population. And then you had to be educated in order to understand how it works and why you were doing that. So you had to have time available to go through all that. Gaming solves a lot of these pain points because first it's easy to get in, it's fun, it's free for the most part. You have a community supporting or a guild that will support you. And I think that infrastructure is just getting started. I mean, everything that we are doing, the model is basically 1 or 2 years old. It's just getting started. A lot of what we do has to do with promotion, with awareness, with letting the audience know that this is possible, this is happening, and how to participate. Yeah, this is my second time in the Philippines. The first one was 5 years ago, actually, when I met Gabby on a random conference on crypto, and we had a good chat, but we were the only two weird guys that were talking about crypto back then. And now watching how the adoption is taking off in the Philippines, it's fascinating. But the Philippines is a huge market, and this is a tiny community in the end, right? So the potential for growth is still so large.
That is true. So you kind of said it's like research, risk appetite, and lack of education. Kevin, how do you feel college students are facing this kind of problem, and how do you think they could come into the dark side, which is the crypto right now?
For me, I honestly think if you remove the speculative nature of crypto and it's too mixed with money, gaming culture has never cared this much about money in terms of the audience. We're here to be entertained, to consume, to be fans of these things, and we don't mind spending money when it comes to supporting the things that we care about. And I think if you make it too much about money, it's gonna scare people away, given that you're mixing passion with something financially right away. I think that's just why you see a lot of revolts from gamers all over the world. So I think that's the part where it makes it not palatable, I would say. So yeah.
Jack? I will answer your question by surveying the audience, right?
I love that.
Okay. Raise your hand if you have read the Bitcoin white paper. Raise your hand.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's actually
It's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah. I was expecting a lot less hands. Raise your hand if you consume content in any social media channel. No?
Of course.
Of course.
If you're not
right?
raising your hand, why?
Why? The next question is, how many of you have played games online, on your phone, or on your computer? Raise your hand.
Oh,
Right?
wow. Oh,
And
we are in
that
a good
gives you
conference.
your answer, right? The Bitcoin white paper was too intimidating.
Oh, yes.
It was too boring that people who really, 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 really wanted to learn crypto were the ones who read it, right? But gaming, content, these things, and even community are easier for us to understand, right? So if we want to bring in Web 2 people, get them curious, we have to nurture the audience, because at this point, people who are interested in crypto are probably already in crypto, right? We have over 3 million people in this country who have some form of crypto, right? So the next wave needs things like playing esports in university, right? Playing games to learn development, being part of guilds and being part of communities to learn and get interested in the space. So yeah.
That was such a good answer, Jack. Last but not the least, woman mentor of mine, Sheila.
Yeah, I probably build on everybody's sort of what they consider barriers of Web 2 people getting into crypto. I think, Jack, you're kind of talking about the approachability of it, so that there's a clarity. Oftentimes, I describe crypto to people that it is not one unilateral definition, because there's a myth or bias to think that crypto represents just the currency and the coin and the money part of it that Kevin talked about. That their approach to it is, in assumptions, is that it's all unscrupulous, illegal, it's all bad, right? I actually really believe that the Bitcoin white paper or the Ethereum white paper or the Solana white paper, you know, that the technology has a lot of promise for good. Let me emphasize that. The technology has a lot of promise for good. So it's really understanding the underlying technology and understanding the power of it. Now, it can be intimidating for people because not everyone's a technologist, not necessarily everyone's a builder, which is one of the reasons in our mission at Proof of Learn and MetaCrafters is to understand that the power of the technology for builders and empowering them to create will help more millions and if not billions of people by using the power of this technology. I fundamentally really believe that because the ethos, there's the word crypto, there's the word blockchain, and there's the word of Web3. The ethos of Web3 is community, it's ownership, it's sharing, it's accessibility, and it's transparency. So unpacking all those words for simplicity and removing all the jargon so that it's not dependent on the Bitcoin white paper to explain it. It's not a male-dominated defined industry, which of course makes sense because 80% of developers are men. They are the majority of who created and invented crypto. Do we believe Nakamoto, who founded, is probably a man, maybe a woman, Leia, maybe? You know, who knows who he is? But the reality is, if it's defined by a specific gender, it then automatically starts to create a language and a culture that may seem exclusive. But what it actually stands for is inclusivity. So we need to break down those difficult languages. We need to break down gender barriers and make this truly accessible. And I really believe that. Once I read the gospel, I don't mean to be religious, I'm not proselytizing religion, and I went into the rabbit hole, I believe in this technology, and it will be used for good.
Thank you, Sheila. That was amazing. I'm starting to believe.
Can I add
Go
a
ahead.
few
Yes,
thoughts?
please, Nico.
Also asking the audience, who's here is a developer?
A developer. Oh, don't be shy.
Congratulations and thank you. And who's a designer?
A designer? We have a few.
A couple, okay. So my opinion is that crypto overall has the best developers in the world, probably already working and busy and developing amazing solutions that are truly making the world a better place. But the designers are not really there, in my opinion. The user experience and the friction is just so
We
terrible.
gotta make it look pretty.
Exactly. So you open your Amazon app, and it's easy to shop around. Now you go into any DeFi exchange or DeFi platform and say, oh my God, this could not be more intimidating. Or even the process of setting your own wallet. I mean, it's pushing people away. And I have friends that they have been trading crypto, if you like, for many years. And when it comes to real Web3 experience, they are just running away from it because they are afraid of either losing the keys or not knowing what to do. So I think that there's a big part of the real adoption coming from designers.
All right, designers, we need you to step up.
Can I just, we actually, in designing MetaCrafters, because it's crafting meta, we launched a MetaCrafters Creator Cup, and 100 teams around the world, we invited designers to craft meta with us and to design. It's going to be like Hogwarts, like Harry Potter. There's like the Solanite house. There's the Flow Knights for Flow. There's Avalanchians, Polygonians. You can just go down the line. And so we invited 100 teams of designers. Even though none of them were in crypto, none of them were in Web3, 27 finalists, right? 3 teams won. One of them from the Philippines, Team Zevel. They won thousands of dollars of prizes, but they get to design a modern metaverse on blockchain as designers, so they're also onboarding to Web3. They don't have to understand the technology just yet. They don't even have to trade crypto, right, Kev? Like, they don't. But they're contributing to the shared ownership and ethos of what it stands for. And we're kicking off Flow Night, so visit metacrafters.io and help us design that one too.
Thank you. So this makes me think that to onboard the next million, we need education, community, sense of belongingness, innovation, make it fun, and inclusivity, whether that be through age, gender, or maybe aesthetics, to usher in the next generation. Thank you. Please give a hand to our beautiful panel.
Thank you for being with us, Celeste Rodriguez, Sheila Marcelo, Kevin Huang, Nico Del Pino, and Jack Lim. Ahead of Axie Open Manila 2023, the largest Web3 esports tournament ever held in the Philippines is kicking off tomorrow. Make sure you don't miss the finals of the tournament on Friday at Circuit Makati, where the players battle it out for 5.6 million pesos in prizes. And with that, we are delighted to invite Ian Mercado to the stage to talk about the esports for blockchain gaming. Today, Ian will be joined by Mike Ovica of YGG Elite Esports, Nick Sniego of Axie Infinity, Sasha Yokum of Ampverse, and Joe Josue of Metasports.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and again, welcome to Philippine Web3 Festival. And I would like to introduce our panel again. So we got Sasha from Ampverse, that right, Sasha? Yeah. Yeah, and we have Nix from Axie Infinity, our Philippine lead. And we have Joe from Metasports. And we have Mike from YGG. So yeah, so today we will be talking about Web3 esports. So I think it's an interesting topic because in every game that we play, there's a esports aspect to it. There's a competition level. So I want to ask our panel for today, what is the difference between Web2 and Web3 esports? So I think anyone can answer. Yeah, Sasha can start.
Okay, that works better. Hello, everyone. Yeah, difference between Web 2 and Web 3 gaming or esports. I mean, general sports has always the same aspects, I would say. Even real sports, it's about excitement, it's about winning, it's about competition. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that actually Web 3 brings maybe more elements to the Web 2 gaming or to online gaming, like on-chain rewards or smart contract, automated payments, ownership, all the things probably mentioned a couple of times over the last 2 days here. But that's a difference from the next step from Web 2 to Web 3 gaming.
Actually, that's right. So our pro players would actually get to own their assets. So they can earn from the game, plus they get to earn from competition. So that's a win-win thing.
Yeah, and I mean, especially like the automated payments, just saying in the past there have been many times frauds, right? That game publishers or guilds or whatever hosted tournaments, but the players after winning, they didn't get a payout. Yeah, but
That's
nowadays there are tournament platforms where the organizer have to put the money up front, and then as soon as someone is winning, there are automated payments. Yeah, I mean, that's just like little add-ons to the Web 2
Actually, that's a
gaming.
very good aspect. And of course, for Nix, so since Axie Infinity had been having a lot of tournaments, what can you say about Web 2 versus Web 3?
Actually, yeah. So I think Axie, as an example for Web3 sports, number one thing that is different with Web2 is that we are much leaner in the sense that we actually have a tournament tomorrow, right? In partnership with YGG. And while that's happening, we have a few dozen other tournaments happening this week. I don't know of a Web2 game that does that at scale, right? So it's being lean, it's being community-centric, and the only reason we're able to do that is because of the Web3 community, of the Axie community, right? And that, I think, is an edge that Web3 games would have in terms of esports, because we can tap the community at the guild level or at the individual level and have them do their own tournaments, which, as we've seen in the most recent Axie Esports grant that we just released. So I think that would be the key difference, having the community and just being able to act quicker, faster than what most Web2 games have been showing.
Yeah, and I'd just like to point out automated payments is a huge component of Web3 esports. And it's not just tournament platforms that can facilitate instant payments after tournaments are done. For example, at Axie Infinity, AxieCon tournament, the World Championship, literally the players got the payment sent right after the tournament was executed. That's unheard of in Web2 esports. On top of that, we also have leaderboard rewards in games. So for example, previously I worked at Blizzard, and players would never get rewarded for placing in leaderboards, right? And now you have AXS rewards being sent out on leaderboards. So that's a huge component of, I think that's a difference between Web 2 to Web 3 esports.
Yeah, I think for me, I agree with everybody. I like what, I think I can break it down into two parts, very personally. First of all, I really agree with Sasha that functionally speaking, there's not much difference at the moment, right? But I think for me, there were two areas. Number one is obviously the technology. As mentioned before, anybody who has had any experience organizing large-scale events, like a tournament, know that payment is a huge pain from an administrative standpoint and everything else with proper financial filing, right? And platforms like Community Gaming and many others are able to make that much, much easier, or through the publishers themselves. I think that's one of the most tangible things that we know now makes it easier. And I think there's that aspect of it that, like us, we're very hopeful for. Like, there's lots of things about player ownership that we think can make esports better. Having been focusing on this area for the past 6 years in content, there's things that we wish that we could do in like traditional esports that we are not able to do, but Web3 values and player ownership allows us to do that. And for me personally, that player ownership, I think for me, has a lot of hope for the grassroots and amateur level, which is very, very, very hard to support in a traditional game. So there are many things you can go through, but for me, those are the two aspects of it.
I actually don't. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry,
Sasha.
just to add on, listening to all that, and I mean, there are many buzzwords we always throw around, like decentralization and ownership, but listening to you guys, just two examples, right? Like Nix mentioned the tournament, the exit tournament, or the one happened in Spain, but also the one you're organizing right now, and also the esports grants you're having out there. I mean, I'm coming from a company called Emperors. We have also like a guild, and we are hosting a tournament in December for Exi. And we are the owners, right? We're holding the IP more or less. That wouldn't be possible in most of the Web2 games I know, because the game publishers, they're holding the rights of the...
More opportunities, basically, right?
It's more opportunities, yeah, and yeah, it's like ownership, right? You can own the IP as the community. It's more decentralization. You are not like a big company who say, no, that's our rights, we're hosting the tournaments, etc., etc. You give it to the community, and I mean, that's great. Yeah.
I totally agree, and it makes more people interested in Web3, like new organizers being transparent, new players being interested to the scene. So I want to ask Mike and Nix. So since we have a lot of tournaments happening right now, so what kind of value can individual players unlock in the competitive scene in Web3?
Yeah, I think we're very early, so content creators and competitors can really build a brand for themselves right now. On top of the monetary benefits, right? Like they have asset ownership. The assets can both appreciate and depreciate. So that's one thing. And then content creation, I think, is a huge part of it, right? Like you can build a community that is really bought in, because you can have these technology stacks that can enable them to have also ownership of maybe your part of your own brand. Imagine a Twitch streamer who has, I don't know, a token or some sort of ownership component to it, where the community has a vested interest in their success. So I think that's a big part of it.
I agree with that. And for me, building a brand in gaming has never been this easy, especially if you could partner with games like Axie, for example. In Axie, we empower our players to create content, to build content for themselves, to share it with their community, and that's why we have the creator program. That's why we had the partnership with NAS Academy. So we want players to feel that they're not just playing mindlessly, but also they're playing because they're enjoying, and then they feel that they're having that sense of accomplishment. They're progressing in their gaming career, and we want to be able to provide opportunities for that as well. So if you've always wanted, like for me, if you've always wanted to be a gamer, but you feel like that moment has passed you by, like because you see someone, they're already good at Counter-Strike, they're already good at Dota. I can't keep up with that anymore. That's where these opportunities come in, because then you can see, I'm gonna try out Axie. There is an opportunity for me to grow there. I can try this. They're gonna let me do that. They're gonna let me stream. They're gonna partner with me. And these opportunities don't just show up, often in bigger traditional games. So that I think is the power of Web3. Like every single person, wherever you are, and even if your skill level is not at the 0.0001% of esports players, that even if you're not at that skill level, you have a chance. You have a shot, to make a name for yourself, to earn rewards, and to have fun while doing it.
All right, thank you so much, Nix and Mike. I totally agree, because it brings more value to each. Players can be like pro players, content creators, and they can actually reach out to the devs themselves and speak out about what they think about the game. For Sasha and Joe, so how about with the organizations? What do you think the Web3 esports bring to the value of for example, like Ambers and Metasports? What do you think esports can contribute to the company or organizations or guilds?
Yeah, I think we all see the trend at the moment. Yeah, I mean, just talking about Axie again. Yeah, I mean, started as everyone was playing it mainly for the on-chain rewards, right? But now, like, also Axie has the esports grant, so we all understand now it's not enough if there's only like the monetization value. So, and it have to make fun, it have to be cheerable, it have to be exciting, and we have to create something around it. And I mean, we learned that from normal sport as well, right? Like, doesn't matter if you're a football fan or a basketball fan, you need to follow a player, you need to be emotionally in touch with a player, right? Or a team, you have to be a fan. Otherwise, if you would watch a team with unknown players, like against white, like no one is interested in it, right? And it fits actually also to the question you asked before about the players, right? Yeah. I think that's very important to also create some player stories around. Yeah, I mean, what we did, we had one player of our M Guild. He was qualified for the Exicon in Spain, and he traveled there. We organized the visa, etc., etc. He was from Thailand, so because our company is mainly based in Thailand, and I mean, he never left Bangkok even, and then he could travel to Spain. He had not even a Twitter account, right? Like, he was not a pro player by any means, but he qualified, and we supported him, and you know, like, we started to make PR around him, make him some profiles, etc. And you know, now there's more excitement about him than about us, actually. So it's a fun thing to see and very motivating. Yeah.
Can I clarify something in the question? Did you mean organizers, like people who organize esports events, or did you mean like the organizations like guilds and teams?
Actually, it's both. So there's always the value to organizations, organizers, actually, of just esports, and of course, guilds as well.
All right, so I mean, just a, I guess, quick disclaimer. My team and I, so we've been operating with organizing esports for 6+ years, and in Axie for over 2 years with our own IP called LSL, the National Sports League, right? And so our core thesis at the time, 2 years ago, when I first learned about this with the team, was that guilds had the possibility of being, creating maybe a better model or an evolved model of what esports organizations might do. Not less on the creator side, but I think more on the competitive side. And I think what's exciting about that is that, like working with someone like Sky Mavis and some of the other games that we've been able to create esports verticals from in Web3, is you're able to, I think, more, for the player side, do a little bit more than, or you can hope a little bit more than just being the sports entertainment and sponsorship model, right? There are more ways, I think, and more ways for it to be, financially viable, and for teams now to actually work with a publisher more closely. It was very difficult to actually be able to work with a publisher closely, and for a guild or a team or an org to actually be able to do that is quite new. And on the same front, for people who organize tournaments, like Sasha said earlier, outside of the few publishers of esports who allow you to create your own IP, they'll never let you touch that. And for people aspiring to create an experience, it's quite limiting. But for the things that people like Axie Infinity or some of the games that we've been able to work and build IPs with, we're able to design an experience, really be in touch with the publisher at a different level. Especially those who are new organizers, it's an amazing opportunity.
Maybe quick add on there, like talking about the game publishers, because I think many people are not aware about that, right? I mean, how hard that game publishers are with their rules, right? So, for example, we have different Web2 esports teams, like we just launched one in the Philippines just on last Sunday. And we have also 2 teams in Thailand and in Vietnam and India. And sometimes we cannot even have our sponsors on the jerseys because the game publishers say that's not allowed, right? And that's really far away from any ownership. So, yeah, that's why I'm really happy to see all the trends and the possibilities Web3 can bring.
Yes, and I've been meeting a lot of esports organizations for the past few months that are very interested in Web3, and that's what I want to talk about next. So, when do you think, when will we see more esports or more established esports organizations make the move to Web3? And I want to know, are you fans of any big esports organizations that you want to see diving into Web3?
I think all of them will move sooner or later to Web3. I mean, sometimes I do keynotes on conferences, and I have one slide where I add always news about Web2 companies or Web2 gaming companies talking about moving into Web3. Yeah, I mean, maybe they develop Web3 games, or they use tournament hosting systems based on Web3, or rewards based on the blockchain. Like, I mean, different things. I think sooner or later, every single Web2 gaming company will do somehow something with Web3. I mean, we're building the new web at the moment. There's no way around it. So yeah, and I mean, so many actually classical Web2 games already building or have a second version in Web3. Or I mean, Sandbox is a very famous metaverse, but they started as a Web2 company, like I don't know how many years ago, but quite a couple of years ago. So.
There are a lot of game publishers and esports organizations. How about Nix?
Yeah, I think they're gonna come, all of them, one by one, slowly, then all at once, right? It's a matter of time and a matter of time and timing, I think, for them. The reason why I'm very excited for these Web2 esports guilds and organizations to come in is because they're bringing something that most of Web3, I don't want to say most, I don't want to do sweeping generalization, but they're bringing something which is experience. They have the experience. They have been doing it for a long time successfully in Web2. All these games, countless events, countless of tournaments, countless different kinds of productions. They have that. And a lot of the Web3 guilds and organizations, they're just starting, they're still trying to figure out. So it's going to be a two-way street, two-way relationship, right? The newer guilds, but started in Web3, they can teach, some of those principles to the Web2 orgs that are coming in. And meanwhile, these Web2 guilds or organizations coming in, they can share some of that experience of running these tournaments. So I actually think it's going to be a great partnership if and when they start to come in. At least in Axie, we're starting to see some of these bigger named organizations already planting their flags, so to speak, in Axie. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think for those of you who don't really follow, the kind of niche in overlap between Web3 gaming and esports, I think it's a great question because it's actually, it's really happening already. So I consider myself very privileged to have been able to help a few of some of these orgs consider how they were going to move into the space, because we do also still do a lot of Web2 esports recently at TI and things like that. And so like our league with Axie Infinity, we're partnered with 8 of the best guilds, and one of those is Team Secret, and the other is Method. So Method, a legacy MMO guild, and they're a highly competitive guild, and we're very happy to work with those guys in our league. But there are a few other games as well. If you guys follow, you might not know Guild of Guardians, but they partnered with 8 premier teams, Cloud9 and Liquid as well. And there are a few others. Team Queso recently with Axie Infinity picked up 2 pro players just yesterday, right? So it is happening, but the unraveling, the conversation is usually about how do we not alienate our current fan base, our audience, but 100% the interest is happening and it's already rolling.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think basically all the Web2 esports teams, they're very much interested in this space. The one thing that they have to overcome is that their fan base has a misconception of this space. So a lot of them think that NFTs are just another publisher scam, to get money, unfortunately. And then there's also that misconception about energy usage, which is a big part of it, right? I've spoken to many general managers in League of Legends teams that are in the franchises, and they all have people dedicated looking at this space very actively, and they want to get involved because the monetization of capabilities that they have are immense. And I think it's inevitable it's going to happen. It's just they're going to have to communicate it in a way and educate their fans so that they will be comfortable with it and they won't face backlash. And I think the earliest concept that they can do, which I think is the easiest, is to sort of create a membership program with NFTs, which gives them access to the certain pro players, certain content creators, and then the people will see the value of that technology. And then from that, we can see more players enter the space. And obviously, as soon as more games become popular in this space, I think they will attract a lot more people as well. So yeah, diversity of franchises and education of their fan base.
Can I just add, just to the last thing? Because I know in the industry, sometimes you want to be able to talk to someone before you do something, right? So if you're a guild, Web2, Web3, whatever, and you want to talk about getting into the Axie space, I'm here, let's talk.
Yes, we got Nix here from Axie Infinity who would help us more build. And Mike said something about some factors that are affecting why some of the esports organization don't want to go to Web3 esports is because of the fear. So that's one of the aspects why it's probably a barrier for entry in Web3 because of the fear. So I want to ask you guys, what are the other things that you can see that are blocking Web2 on Web3 to have a transition or to have a more investment for Web3 esports?
You want me to start? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually working for a Web2 gaming company, right? So, I mean, it's, yeah, on one side, the fear, right? But we have to do a lot of education and the demystification as well to explain what it is. But I understand it. There are some concepts in Web3, in blockchain, where it's hard to get your head around. Yeah. Like the security part, and I mean also the recent announcements and news and liquidity problems. It's not really helping, right? So it's, I mean, as someone working in a Web2 company, I get it always shown from my colleagues. Oh, what happened in blockchain again? And I mean, it's not really helping. Yeah, but educating will help definitely. And yeah, and I really believe we need each other here, and that's what Nick said in the last question. So it's, I mean, it's not working against each other; it's working with each other. And I mean, there are always some early explorer, and they will rise, but they will also fall. Yeah, but they leave a footprint, right? And they will follow. There's not a lot of learning needed, but I'm pretty sure we will get there. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. How about Nick's?
Maybe corporate structure, right? Like, so I think of it in the same way that, you know, some people maybe in that, whatever, let's say esports organization A, right? Like maybe some people there really want to go into Web3, but then it's a corporate structure, so you would have to convince the upper, you know, like upper management, and maybe upper management still is hesitant to touch anything crypto, anything NFTs, right? So it's about education. I agree with Sash, educating, and also that has to come from our part, from the Web3 guys, right? We have to be more patient and more, you know, maybe better content, start better conversations, have more events like this, and include Web2, you know, organizations more. It's gonna take a lot of effort, but if was a blocker, it's probably that, like just making sure that, you know, the entire organization buys in, because yeah, this is not a space that is, it is for everyone, but it's not, you know, that easy to just go in and, yo, I'm part of Web3. So there's certain nuances there that I think, you know, these organizations are just trying to navigate through. Like there could be a booby trap here or there, and they just want to make sure they don't end up stepping on that. So I think in time that will come with, again, education and, you know, having these kinds of conversations.
Wow. Okay. So I think aside from excellent things mentioned, like so, I think for me, okay, I might be biased because I am very much an entrepreneur. So I think it's the business, right? And the numbers sometimes don't make sense, right? You're coming from a place that I come from very usually mature industries. Esports is probably the most, I guess, emerging industry. And you know, when you go into Web3, sometimes the numbers just blow your mind, right? And when you come from a conservative, when you have something like a mature org with a fan base to manage, sometimes you don't want to be first to take the risk, right? You don't want to be the first guy to make that mistake. You may be, and you know, these people who lead these organizations now have been doing this for, more than 5 years, and they're astute people with numbers, and they know if they see daily active users, does it make sense? Do they believe that, the things that we've had to go through to learn about wallets and transactions, that people will get? Is the technology easy enough for it to have enough audience, users, community, for them to even make the move? So I think those are things. It's not, I don't consider people who own businesses very, very fearful, to be completely honest. I think it's really more calculated and timing. Yeah.
How about Mike?
Yeah, I think, a lot of these teams, they have strong brands that they build up over years, right? So I think there is a fear element to it, right? Because you're risking putting that brand on to get backlash, right? But yeah, I think it's all about marketing and branding. I think as soon as they educate their player base and they market it and brand it in a really good way, I think that they'll overcome this bump and then they'll come to this space and they're just going to kill it.
Thank you guys so much for answering that question. I think most of the players want to know about those kind of barriers and we want to educate them and how we could overcome those barriers in Web3 sports. And as I wrap up our conversation, I want to ask you guys, what are your dreams or what are your upcoming wants for the Web3 esports, like competitions, what kind of events, what kind of tournaments you want to see in the scene?
I mean, I would say my vision or my dreams are not only related to tournaments. It's more like a couple of things we said already before. So, I mean, let's say a year ago, like a lot of Web2 companies said, oh, we're doing now Web3. Yeah? But when you really asked what they actually are doing, it has nothing to do with real Web3, right? So, so my vision is more that, like that Web2 companies and gaming companies really understand what it means, getting their head around and start building meaningful things. And that's my vision at Emperors, like to build meaningful things, right? To see what's really valuable for the players, what's needed, how to combine Web2 and Web3 and go it in a step-by-step approach. Like we're always saying, like, so now we are Web2, let's be first 2.5 before we are Web3. So, and a meaningful movement in the right direction. And that's my vision.
Meaningful in the right direction.
I guess my dream, since I'm a gamer, I mean, I've been gaming since maybe I was a baby. I don't know, but I've been gaming since forever. And my dream, and I believe that gaming is really the key to unlock Web3 and like get like, you know, everyone here. Because I believe that every single person is a gamer in one way or another. So I guess my dream is that for us to have that kind of space where every single person can join these tournaments or join events and kind of compete, even if you're not really, again, at the top 0.001%. Even if you're kind of casual, there should be a tournament, there should be an event, there should be a game mode where you can go in and enjoy and, you know, have fun and have that little bit of competitive kick, right? So I guess that's my dream, like daily tournaments with, you know, different skill levels. If you're a collector, if you're a gamer, but you're more on the collector side, I want you to be able to play with other collectors, right? People on the same skill level, and you guys will be playing for something fun. So I believe in gaming, I believe in esports, but also believe that every single person in this room, not just in this room, but in the world, in one way or another, is also a gamer. And I want there to be a world where that is fully realized, that each person is enjoying these games, and you know, that's ultimately what I want. And I think, you know, that's something that we're building also towards in Axie.
I think very similar to you, Nix, right? I'm a sports fanatic, you know, traditional sports, esports, and what we have here. So for me, very much a similar way, I really hope that what Web3 sports can do, and I'm really hopeful it can, is a little more equitable opportunity for the talent. You know, the last thing, we all know those people, you know, friends growing up, if it's sports or esports, who never got the chance to compete at the highest level, even if you know they probably could have done it. And a lot of talent is lost in traditional esports because the grassroots development and amateur and pro-amateur development is just not sustainable. And I know tons of people I would bet money on that they would probably be at the top ranking, but the sustainability is very difficult for a game. And I really think the Web3 values layered onto esports with the technology would allow more amazing talent to come out of that and, you know, higher skill level across the board.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think like my dream, to be honest, is like unlocking the full potential of this like amazing technology that we're involved in and seeing where it takes us, right? Because we can have dreams and wishes all we want, but like we don't really know what the possibility is here. That's to me, that's super exciting, right? And then the second thing is I really want to create like a super compelling competitive structure that will tap into this technology and innovate in this space. So yeah. That's my dream.
Wow, thank you guys so much for sharing your dreams for the Web3 esports. But before I end, of course, I have one last question. I want to know what genre of game do you want to see next for the Web3 esports? Because right now, of course, Axie is #1 for the Web3 esports. How about other genres of game? What kind of games do you want to see next?
FPS.
FPS games, right?
Yeah, you know, Southeast Asia Super MOBA, but I'm a big FPS fan, so personally, I would definitely need to see a lot more FPS for sure.
I suck at shooting games, so MOBA maybe?
MOBA.
What about racing games?
Racing games,
Or like
yeah.
some fighting games like Tekken-like games? I would like to see that, though.
So if you ever queue with me on like CSGO, just leave the room.
Yeah, very, very exciting for our Web3 esports space, especially for 2023. And I really want to thank you, Mike from YGG, Joe from Metasports, thanks from Axie Esports, and of course, Sasha from Ambers. Thank you guys. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you guys so much. And I'll be ending the panel for our Web3 esports. I'm Ian Mercado. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Ian, Mike, Nick, Sasha, and Joe. Before we proceed with our next segment, we would like to encourage everyone to post on your socials. Get a chance to win 15,000 pesos worth of GCash voucher and a YGG merch box by posting on your Facebook or IG Reels using our hashtag PHWeb3Fest. Come on, guys, and post away!
What if your everyday is easier? What if your tasks are faster? What if you never have to chase due dates ever? What if your life is safer? What if your dreams are higher? What if kaya mo na? GCash gives you secure payments, real-time money transfers, accessible financial services, exclusive deals, and a full suite of business solutions para kaya mo na sumabay sa takbo ng buhay. Kaya mo na to stay connected. Kaya mo na magbayad anytime, anywhere. Kaya mo na mag-buy and sell. Kaya mo na to get exclusive deals. Kaya mo na magpera padala. Kaya mo na gawing safe ang future. Kaya mo na abutin ang pangarap. Kaya mo na makatulong, magbigay ng pag-asa. Kaya mo, GCash mo.
Music, art, and NFTs. One big celebration. Over 10,000 G-goers. A recap of the best moments. Powered by NFT activated passes. 917 new NFT owners. The biggest NFT launch in the Philippines.
3, 2, 1.
By YGG and Blockchain Space in cooperation with IVC and Emphasis. And now, for the last segment of our program, we will now award the winners for our hackathon. Last November 12 to 13, 2022, we held the first Web3 focused hackathon at the AIM Conference Center in Makati, pulling a total of 20 developer teams, and out of that, top 3 teams with projects that make Web3's future very promising. Before we recognize our winners, let's acknowledge and call up the co-organizers of the Web3 hackathon. We've got Kat Gonzalez of YGG, Chris Verceles of Save Finance, and UBX. Joining our co-organizers to present top prize winnings are the Web3 Hackathon's co-presenters. Let's call on our representatives, Nathan Nang from Globe, Jake Sandiego from Metaverse Go, Mark Nunez from Gcash, Hu Yong from Huawei Cloud, and Lee Jo and Rachel Ma of DNV. And now, let's call on stage our winners. At third place, taking home a cash prize of 25,000 pesos, along with $3,000 worth of Huawei Cloud credits. AC2E. At second place, taking home a cash prize of 50,000 pesos, along with $4,000 worth of Huawei Cloud credits, taking home the special Gamify cash prize of 50,000 pesos sponsored by our friends from BNB Chain. Let's call up DV Code. And now for our grand champions, taking home a cash prize of 100,000 pesos, along with $5,000 worth of Huawei Cloud credits. Let's give it up for Yuhong! Congratulations to all the winners of the Web3 Hackathon! And that, my friends, wraps up our day 2 of the Philippine Web3 Festival. We hope everyone had a blast today, as we will continue all of these tomorrow, so don't miss on these. We still have more topics from notable keynote speakers, more interesting fireside and insightful panel discussion for everyone. Thank you again, and see you all again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you and good evening.
What if your everyday is easier? What if your tasks are faster? What if you never have to chase due dates ever? What if your life is safer? What if your dreams are higher? What if kaya mo na? GCash gives you secure payments, real-time money transfers, accessible financial services, exclusive deals, and a full suite of business solutions para kaya mo na sumabay sa takbo ng buhay. Kaya mo na to stay connected. Kaya mo na magbayad anytime, anywhere. Kaya mo na mag-buy and sell. Kaya mo na to get exclusive deals. Kaya mo na magpera padala. Kaya mo na gawing safe ang future. Kaya mo na abutin ang pangarap. Kaya mo na makatulong, magbigay ng pag-asa. Kaya mo, GCash mo.
Music, art, and NFTs. One big celebration. Over 10,000 G-goers. A recap of the best moments. Powered by NFT activated passes. 917 new NFT owners. The biggest NFT launch in the Philippines.
Bis na kita. Ay, kailan kaya ulit?
Angkas, tara na! Whee! Pabalik pa po ang angkas?
Manalig ka lang, dahil ang angkas ay malakas.
Angkas, malakas!
Angkas, malakas!
Angkas, malakas! Angkas, malakas!
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Guriseta, Africa, Cauton, and Saavedra has been consistently ranked as a top-tier law firm in the Philippines by various prestigious international organizations such as Asian Legal Business, International Financial Law Review, the Legal 500, Chambers Partners, Asia Business Law Journal, and the Asia Law Profiles. Our firm, Guriseta, Africa, Cauton, and Saavedra, was awarded the Technology, Media, and Telecommunications Law Firm of the Year for 2019, 2020, and 2021, and also the Innovative Technologies Law Firm of the Year for 2019 and 2021 by Asian Legal Business during the Philippine Law Awards. We were also voted as the best fintech law firm in the Philippines for 2019, 2020, and 2021 during the annual awards of UK-based Wealth and Finance International. We were likewise voted as Technology, Media, and Telecommunications Law Firm of the Year for 2019, 2020, and 2021 by Vantage Asia or Asia Business Law Journal.
With pioneering expertise in the law on digital assets, fintech, blockchain, virtual currencies, e-commerce, data privacy, and artificial intelligence, we are legal counsel to the biggest and most impactful technology and online companies in the Philippines. We have been ranked #1 in the Philippines in the tech or fintech